Hello, everyone. I know nobody's listening right at this second or watching right at this second, but I'm going to change that. Hold on just a moment if I can figure out how to do this. Um, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? One person's on there. What is the link to here? This might be it. Hold on just a second. We'll see if anybody gets that link. Wow. I wish I had an answer. If I had one, I'd give it to you. I'm actually broadcasting this from the old Unfound account. The old one. I don't know what's happened. No idea. If I knew, I'd tell you. For some reason, it would not let me stream on the other account. And luckily, this account is a remnant of the old Unfound Podcast Channel before we started the new one. And the account still exists. And it just occurred to me, well, I wonder if the old, and we never deleted it. Natasha and I have never deleted it. And I just was wondering, is it going to work over there? And then it started. So this is actually on the old Unfound account. Let me do something here. Let me do something here very quickly while you all are watching. I have no answer. This is one of those things. YouTube just changes things just like that. Never tells anybody. Never tells anybody anything. So let's go in here. Let's just I'm gonna do this. Please be patient. Thank you. I appreciate all of you for being patient. I don't know. It has something to do. I kind of knew something was going on when I figured out that I had to log into YouTube, and I never have to do that. So I knew already that there was something going on because we should never log out. Even if, for example, Natasha logs out, it shouldn't log me out. And for some reason, there is some. I have no answers. All right, hold on a second. I'm going to talk to Natasha for a second. Let me see something. Once again, please be patient with me for a second because I need to check something over here. I'm gonna check something. Wait, settings. Go to channel. That's enabled there too. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. All right, so we started. I have no idea. I have no idea. It happens like once every 6 months. They do something and they don't tell anybody. They don't send you an email, nothing. It just is what it is. Oh man. All right. Well, we're streaming on the old channel. I know we won't have many viewers tonight, but I can't really blame them. I did post the new link for the live show in the group on the Facebook page. And if people don't get it, that's fine. But hello everyone. it was a pretty good day. It was really a good day until 9:00, and I tried to go on here and it wouldn't let me. It just kept saying live streaming is not available at this time. It just, every time I'd go to hit live, live streaming is not available at this time. Live streaming is not available at this time. I have no idea. I really have no idea. So kind of continues how I played disc golf this past weekend. And it kind of is going along. I told you that I'm looking into buying a car. That has not gone well either. So maybe this live show issue has become a thing. And, but my diet is going well. So that counts for something. And can you believe that here in a couple days, I will have lived here 2 years here at 1340 Gulf Boulevard, Unit 8B, Clearwater Beach, Florida, 33767. So we'll see if Cherie can catch on to this. Let's see here. Let me do this again. All right, so it's just totally gone away. Okay. I have no idea. It is something that, once again, something that I'm going to have to look into. All right. Well, I have a nice show planned for all of you tonight. Unfortunately, I'm going to probably have to rush through a few things. But yeah, I didn't play disc golf very well this weekend. Ticked off about that. As I said, I'm shopping for a car, and still I'm driving my Sonata. But my diet is going well. No sugar, no carbs, no and sticking to about 1,700 calories a day. Let me do something here that got messed up. So those are some things that are going on. Yeah, Luis says going along in 3. So everybody, thank you for coming over from the other account. This is, like I said, the backup account. I've never deleted it. Natasha's never deleted it. And maybe it's good that we keep it. So Louise, Eileen, Paula, Jasmine, Charlotte, Angela, LaFord, Kathy, CR, Marlene, thank you for all for finding. I'm hoping people will see that link and find it. I've posted it in the group on the page, and this is getting recorded anyway. It's everybody will eventually get to watch it, but thank you, Twinkle. True fan. I appreciate that. These things do happen, Louise, a little too often. Once every 6 months, it just something weird goes down. So let's get right into this program, being that 40 minutes late. No poll this week. I didn't think it was appropriate. There's nothing really to ask all of you, being that last Friday was a Q&A episode that ran about 3 hours and 40 some minutes long. We did have a think tank, though, this week. I gave an opportunity to some of the think tank members to answer some of the questions that were asked of me. We had some fun with that. People using words to describe themselves, what they think their friends would say, how their friends would describe them. Hello, Karen. Once again, I apologize, Karen. I don't know what to tell you what's going on with the other YouTube account. There was no blog this week. After you've done a 3 hour and 49-minute episode answering questions, there's not much left to write. And that does happen a couple times a year, where I guess I get to take a couple weeks off in writing the blog. Marlene says the Q&A was excellent. I tried to make it excellent, Marlene. Thank you for noticing. That's very kind. Dr. Telesco, this past Thursday, we had a nice discussion. It was very much like the interview that I did with my friend April, just talking theory. Touched upon a couple disappearances, but mainly it was just, kind of getting into my head, allowing Dr. Telesco to get into my head a little bit. And I love doing that. I'm always ready to talk about missing persons theory, where I think it goes right, where I think it goes wrong, some ideas that I'm working on. And, I didn't get to mention this during that interview with her, but, it's kind of like, if you've ever seen the movie Moneyball, where people in Major League Baseball doing the same thing over and over and over the same way. And it turns out when you really start looking at what they were doing, the stats that they were looking at, that they were making a lot of mistakes. And there was a more efficient way to run a baseball team for cheaper. And that's what the movie Moneyball is about. And in fact, because of that, I downloaded the audiobook Moneyball, and I'm listening to it right now. And I think if I were to really condense what we're trying to do with Unfound is we're trying to do a Moneyball version of missing persons cases. We believe that they've been investigated wrong. We believe that they've been handled wrong. We believe that the attitude is wrong. We believe the public's perception of missing persons cases is wrong. And we're here to come in and change all of that. The problem is that these kinds of ideas are very deep ingrained in our culture, in law enforcement already. And it takes time to change all of these things. It takes time. But so if you've ever seen the movie Moneyball, or you've read the book Moneyball, or listened to it as an audiobook, this is what we're doing. And it didn't really occur to me to talk about it that way until the interview was done with Dr. Telesco. But I can guarantee you, the next time I have an opportunity to talk to somebody about those particular topics, I am going to bring that example up. And if you haven't seen the movie Moneyball, I would watch it. Even if you aren't a baseball fan, I think you'll find it really good. And if you're not into the movie, the book is, the movie only, as is usually the case, the movie only hits the highlights of the book. The book is way more detailed into statistics and other things, but it's fascinating. At least to me, it's fascinating. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give a Moneyball spin, a Moneyball change to missing persons cases. And I don't know why it's become that. I would not necessarily say when I started Unfound that was necessarily the idea. That's kind of what it's become. I don't know when that started to happen. It's just been a very unnoticeable evolution from September 2016 to the present day, where this is how I'm now thinking about Unfound, in the same way that the general manager of the Oakland A's started thinking about his baseball team. This is how I am thinking now. So that's, I hope you enjoyed that discussion with Dr. Teleska. I realize it was a little different than what we usually do, but I would say, hello, Jody. Thank you for finding the new link tonight, Jody. I apologize if you had a problem finding the live show tonight. But you can expect more of that. If you like that interview that I did with Dr. Telesko, I think in the future, maybe not with her, I think next month in May, we'll go back to talking about disappearances. That's what I am anticipating. But any new interviews that I do, and I hope to get some done, some more before the year is over and for the years to come. But that's probably the tone that I'm probably going to have in those types of interviews, if the interviewer has not already set something out. Okay, we're going to talk about these disappearances tonight. I can do that. I'm fine doing that. But if we're going to just talk in more general terms about missing persons cases and the public perception of them, I can guarantee you that the comparison to the book/movie Moneyball is going to come out. So you might want to check that out, so you know what I'm trying to say the next time I do an interview, if you don't know what Moneyball is yet either. It has Brad Pitt in it. Jonah Hill is in it. Of course, what is his name? The guy who ended up being Star-Lord in the Guardian of the Galaxy movies. I know somebody's going to pop that in there real fast in the chat room. But he's in that movie, and it's a really good movie. And even if you're not into baseball, you should see it. But I can see a lot of comparisons to what we're doing here at Unfound. So moving on. Unfound Now. I finally found some time to do another Unfound Now. We were about due. It had been about over a month since the last one I did regarding Kirsten Brueggemann from Indianapolis. But I went the whole way to Hawaii for this one. And it's just really a coincidence that we've not covered a Hawaii disappearance yet on the regular Unfound episodes. It just hasn't happened yet. And so it was a complete coincidence that I found a disappearance that I wanted to talk about, and it's in Hawaii. I did not plan that. I did not go there just because I said, all right, which states have we not gone to yet in Unfound? That's not the reason I did it. But if you've watched that video, then you already know, what I discussed in it. And the main theme of that was that this is what happens when missing persons stories are very vague. The article that I read during that Unfound Now, it can lead you to start doing a lot of theorizing, conjecturing. Why don't they name what residence Mark Pandela left from in Waialua, Hawaii? I think that's weird. Why didn't they just say his house, his girlfriend's house, his parents' house? Why didn't they just say it? Why did they just said a residence? In addition, why is it in early February? Are you telling me that the person who lives in that residence could not say exactly when Mark left? Is that what we're to mean? That may not mean, it may not be this situation, but that is the way the article is written. And it's very, very bad. Because once again, it can lead to unneeded speculation. And I think I proved that in that Unfound Now by speculating on how the article was written. Now, my speculation went directly because the article is written in a very strange way and is very vague. It very well could be that Mark Pandela left Waialua, went over to Kahana Bay, and died in a scuba diving accident. Totally possible. People are dying scuba diving all the time. The issue is that those points that I've already brought up, that we don't know what residence we at. The person obviously couldn't say what, what day it was. They're taking the day of February 7th from some stranger, a witness who doesn't even know Mark. His vehicle isn't found until 2 weeks later, even though it seems to me that many people would have known that he was going scuba diving and they would have gone driving around to all the possible scuba diving locations. I'm guessing that he probably went diving in Kahana Bay before, but his car wasn't found for 2 weeks. I just don't know. And those are some of the reasons that I wanted to talk about Mark's disappearance. Now, you should also know what I also did. Hello, coffee lover. A real chat. Yeah, we're trying to have one. Coffee, despite YouTube getting in the way, we're having a live show tonight. We've been going for 22 minutes now. Got it going right around 9:30. Jody says, or a flash flood while hiking. Well, as far as Mark Pandela, this witness said he had scuba gear. So we got to, I guess if we're going to believe this witness, we have to believe that he went into the water. The problem is the witness is obviously somebody who didn't know Mark. So we know how witnesses can lie and just try to thrust themselves into disappearances. So, I just don't know, Jody. Just don't know. But you should know that one of the ways I was trying to narrow it down on which disappearance I was going to talk about is that I went to NamUs and I did any disappearance that has occurred, adults 18 and over, from the beginning of February through like the end of March. That was the criteria I put in NamUs in the database. And I think 70 some disappearances came up. And you would be amazed, and it's very sad. It's very, very sad how many of those disappearances that are listed there, when I tried to go find news articles on them, nothing has been written on them. Many of them. Now, I didn't go to every one because I eventually got to Mark's. It caught my attention. I was like, okay, this is one I'm going to do. But I must have gone through at least 10 where these are recent disappearances and not one article. You Google their name and it's like they aren't missing. And it's very sad. Very sad that these people have gone missing and not one article in a local media site where they've gone missing has written anything about them. So, there's no details, and you look at NamUs and you're looking at the details and there's no details. There's a description, there's a date, there's an age, there's a picture, and that's it. And there's nothing out there on any other website anywhere. No Facebook page, nothing. No family that set something up. Very sad. So when I ran across Mark's, I was like, this, looks like one I could certainly talk about. And so that's why I did so. I could say that had I run into one of those other ones and one of those other ones that I looked at first had some articles written and there was details and everything, then I probably would have picked that one. But I was just going down the list and I finally got to one that, there was some information out there. And so that's how I picked Mark Pandela's. Coffee says, I guess I kept clicking on the frozen links. I just saw a frozen Thinker Ed. Yes. Yeah, that was me staring at my screen wondering what the heck is going on, Coffee. That's my Thinker Ed. Yes. Is that Gauguin? I think Gauguin is the artist who made that. So that was Unfound Now. I hope that you checked it out. I hope you've watched that Unfound Now. I enjoyed doing those. And you can, of course, accept another one in May, probably, of course, later in May. I'm not going to do one maybe next weekend in May, but before May is over, I'm sure I will find another Unfound Now to do. Now, as far as giving any thumbs up to this video tonight, I appreciate it, but you got to understand we are on the backup YouTube site. So the thumbs probably aren't going to matter, because what's going to happen is after we're done here, I will have to download this, somehow transfer this video from this site to the other site. And I think all of the thumbs up and views and everything get wiped out when you do that. So if you want to give it a thumbs up, I appreciate it. But it's just not going to last. And that's just the way YouTube is set up. But I really have to figure out what's going on with the other account. I just don't know. I'm not saying that I necessarily am worried about it right at this second, but it's weird that this account that I never use, even though it still exists, worked, and the other one doesn't. I was wondering, did somebody, is there a copyright thing going on? That shouldn't be. Is it something that I did? Was Natasha messing around with the buttons or anything? And I doubt that. So I just don't know. Thank you, Marlene. Thank you, Charlotte. So let's move on to this. So Unfound Now, another episode on the site. Sponsorship of a tournament coming up. Unfound is sponsoring a women's only tournament right here at Taylor Lake in that direction. May 8th. So not this Saturday, but next Saturday. Happy to do that. Women are a large part of Unfound's audience. I would say at least 80%. I think you know that most of my assistants are female. I think that most of the people usually in the think tank are female. So, and you know my love for disc golf, even when I play badly, like I did this past weekend. I thought that I needed to give back a little bit. I certainly support women. I hugely support women being involved in sports. I certainly, I think that disc golf is a great sport for women. A lot of great women players out there. And so I wanted to do something to help that along. And so next weekend, and I'm not the only sponsor, or Unfound is not the only sponsor. There are other sponsors. So it's a conglomeration of different people, businesses, podcasts, or whatever, sponsoring this tournament. And my friend Alicia, who I've known for about 3 years, she and I were doubles partners in a league about 3 years ago. And so I know her really well. And her boyfriend, Kevin, runs the club over at Taylor Lake. So I thought this was something good to do. And so I'll be there. I won't be playing, of course, but next weekend, Saturday, I'll be there checking things out, volunteering, helping out in any way that they need. So that is something coming up. And I know that I think I even mentioned it when I first, started sponsor. I decided I was going to sponsor them, that I told all of you about it, and I think there's still a link in the discussion group. So that's what's going on. And you should know that this is part of a worldwide day, May 8th, where it's nothing but women's tournaments. So wherever you live, if there's a disc golf course, it very well may be that there's a women only tournament being held in your area. So if you'd like to check that out, please do so. Please do that. That is not something that is just particular to Taylor Lake. This is a worldwide thing that is going on May 8th. So no men will be playing in any disc golf tournaments on May 8th, just women. So please check that out if you can. Next topic. It just slipped by so fast, but I was looking at it, and we've now officially covered over 200 disappearances on Unfound. I kept saying for a while, almost 200. It seems like I was saying almost 200 for like a long time. It was like about 150, over 150, about 175. But I know that I've been saying almost 200, for a while now, but we're well over 200. In fact, I didn't actually sit down and count, but I'm thinking that it was either Stephanie Hartwell's disappearance or Nylene Marshall. Of course, Heather Grotman was the guest for that one. Either one of those, I think, was number 200. So, and those were like, 6 weeks ago? So we're up to about 2004 now. Hard to believe. It's just crazy. It's gone so fast. I could have never guessed when I started Unfound that we would get to this point. Could have never guessed. You just don't even know. And I think I was even saying this last week. I continue to be so thankful and grateful. I feel to be in this position after all the crazy decisions and things that I've done in my life and making, trying things and failing and everything. I just can't even tell you, to be here. I continue to say one of the most thankful people around. Charlotte says 247 episodes. Yes, Charlotte, totally true. But you have to remember a lot of them are update episodes and the Q&A episodes. And some of those were interviews that I did with bloggers or Caroline Lowe. And so once you start, taking those out of there, it's about, I think we're at about 205. I think. And because I do have a spreadsheet with all of the disappearances that we've covered with the names of the guests. And like I said, we're well over 200 now. Coffee asks me, wonder why most of the people who watch this are women. Well, it's not just Unfound, Coffee. Don't think that that's particular to Unfound. There's a reason that, for example, when you watch ID on Discovery, there's a reason that the commercials are geared toward women. There's a reason like Lifetime and the Oxygen Channel, they do a lot of true crime, whether it's fiction or nonfiction programming. There are reasons. And the reason is because for some reason, more women than men are interested in disappearances, murders, serial killers, and all of that. Why is that? I don't know. I've known about it for a long time. I've actually thought about it. It's hard to say. It's hard. It's certainly hard for me to say because I've always taken an interest in it. So I guess I'm finding out that I'm certainly in a minority of men. Men, I'm in a severe minority. I don't know. I'm not going to try to mansplain here. Most of you are hearing women. You can try to explain it for yourselves. I don't know, and I'm not going to try to get inside women's heads. That would be wrong. So maybe some of you can come up with the reasons that true crime material is more popular with women than men. Because I can't tell you. Now, why? Maybe speaking from a guy's point of view, why aren't more guys into it? I don't know. I think it might just be that guys are just more into other things. It's not that they don't like to, listen to a true crime podcast. And there certainly are many male hosts out there. Of course, John Lorden, the guys at Generation Y, etc. I think it may just be that for guys, there's just other things that are more interesting to them. It's not that they don't like, watching Disappeared or listening to Unfound. It's just there's other things that are in front of that. For women, it's just different. I don't know. So I'm not going to try to mansplain that. No way. I'm not doing that. Louise says, do you think more females go missing than males? No, actually, I don't, Louise. I think that I know at one point I did that on Namus because you can narrow it down by women or men. Certainly more men go missing than females. And I think it's a variety of reasons. Men are more likely to be involved in crimes. Men are more likely to have mental illnesses. Men are more likely to commit suicide. Men are more likely to do all of those things that could be related in some way or fashion to disappearances. No, I think more men than women do go missing. However, when it comes to disappearances, I think it's more likely that more females are murdered than men when it comes to disappearances. But I think if you were to look at Namus, I think there's probably more men on there than women. Linda, I made it here, better late than never. I had to decorate. Well, Linda, you should know that you missed the first half hour when the show wasn't happening, so you didn't miss much. This video will eventually be transferred over to the real channel, not this backup channel. Okay. Twinkle says, I think men understand killing more than women do. I don't know. Maybe for some men, I certainly don't. I mean, there is that saying, I'm not saying I would do it, but I certainly understand it. But I'm not like that. I think I think I talked about this a little this past Friday for the Q&A episode. I'm not really your typical guy. I would not say that I'm an alpha male. I'm certainly not a beta male either. I don't necessarily like to lead. I don't necessarily like to follow. I'm not one of those guys that was ever like, all right, I'm going to get together with our buddies and we're going to go out and pick up some women and everything. That's just not me at all. I mean, I had friends in college, for example, and we'd go get chicken wings and everything, but I like my alone time. I'm not much of a, get together, in a group type of guy situation and going out. A lot of the activities that I've enjoyed in my life, I've done by myself. I mean, I used to go drag racing with friends, but a lot of times I was going there by myself. I knew I would run into people who I knew there, but a lot of times I would just go by myself. Disc golf. I play in tournaments, but if I'm not playing in tournaments, I'm usually playing disc golf by myself. So I'm just a little bit different type of a guy. I don't know why that is. I actually believe that my brothers probably are more like your average guy and a lot of those things, but I'm not. I'm very much like my sister. If you were to meet my sister, her personality, the way she has gone about her life and everything, kind of like her. More than that than my brothers. So I don't know, maybe men more likely to kill than women. Maybe that certainly is true, Twinkle. But as far as understanding it, maybe. Charlotte says true crime is popular with women because women are so curious. Okay. Linda says, I think females are more trusting, always looking for the good in someone. Coffee says, why aren't men interested? I just think that there's probably just things that are more interesting to men. It's not that they hate true crime or anything, but I think when it comes to men and their programming, sports is up there. It used to be up there for me, not as much anymore. And that's a continuing trend for me in my life. cars and building stuff. And I think that those things may just hold more of a priority in men's lives than hearing about mysteries. Could be. No. Charlotte, I got my interest from my mom. When I was very young, my mom used to watch Perry Mason, and she had True Detective magazines laying around. And I've just always been really nosy, I guess. Nosy. Okay, Charlotte. Nosy. Haven't heard that word for a while. Nosy. Sticking your nose where it's not supposed to be, huh, Charlotte? My mother, totally into true crime. Loved the show Forensic Files. Loved it. And I think that's why she was so supportive when I started Unfound, and she listened to every episode and everything else, until, of course, she passed away. But she was a huge fan of the program, very supportive of me, and there was no bigger fan of Unfound. And I continue to do this program in her memory because I know that this was really something that that she wanted me to do, and she knew how much I enjoyed it. So like she is with all of you ladies in here, feeling the same way about true crime for sure. Twinkle says you are a free thinker. I don't mean to brag, Twinkle, but that's certainly true. Certainly true. As I stated in the Q&A episode, I'm an easy guy to like, hard guy to get to know. I realized that I've finally figured that out within the last few years, just who I am. And I just like, even though it may not look like it, I just like to be my own drummer. I don't like being in groups where I think that anything that I think or say is going to have to conform to what the group thinks, where some people are totally into that. They want to be part of something because there is strength in numbers. And that's why men join fraternities, women join sororities. It's one of the reasons. That's why they join women's groups and men's groups and everything else. Me, I even, like I think I've stated, I even had problems wearing a uniform when I played team sports in high school. And that's, I think, maybe at the age of 50, why this has grown, just different. Louise, I think every person has it in them to kill if they have to. Could be a quiet person at heart. Louise, I think I've been very clear about my attitude toward human nature. We can be killers. Any one of us, if pushed far enough. We can be killers. We can be. I am a person that, I do not believe at our core necessarily that I think that if given the proper situations, I think we're all capable of anything. That we don't do it shows our knowledge, our belief that, being peaceful is better for us and everybody else. And some people, of course, are still violent. But we all have that in us, and it's up to us to try to control that. It certainly is. Human nature, I think we have a very dark core in us. As I've stated, humans are capable of some of the best things on earth, and we are certainly capable of the worst things on earth. Louise says, Kathy, I agree. I thought more women seem to go missing than men. I agree more women are murdered than men, especially domestic violence. Like I said, I think that is the situation. I certainly believe that more men than women go missing. Eileen, my husband likes the resolution. It would drive him crazy to have loose ends. I think that's why he doesn't watch, although he does tag me when anyone in the area goes missing. That's true. We as men, not to stereotype or anything, but we like solutions. We like to fix things. We get frustrated when we, can't fix something, whether it's a machine or a person. And I've heard enough women in my life say it, they need somebody to talk to. All they need is They just want to get some emotions out. They're a little frustrated with something, and they go to talk to a guy, and all of a sudden he's trying to fix their problem for them when all the woman wants is him to listen. I don't know how many times I've heard. I'm still trying to learn that lesson. So there certainly could be something to that, Eileen. I cannot deny it. But I have to say, from my standpoint, that mysteries exist, I think would allow at least myself to show those problem-solving qualities that I think a lot of men have. Can look at a situation and know how to fix it. So I try to bring that to the program, but as we know, there are a lot of women who are just as good at men on it, if not better. All right, so I don't want to get too stereotypical here. It's a good topic, though. I don't have an answer. I think all of you, most of you in here are women, so I think you might be better at answering that question than I do. Why 80% of true crime audiences are women. Let's move on to this. That's a great topic, though. I love that topic. Whoever brought that up, nicely done. I've been talking to a lot of people recently. Very excited, as I usually am, but being that we'll be getting back next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday to disappearances again, regular episodes. Last Friday, the Q&A. This Friday, the update episode. Next Friday, I've already done the interview for next Friday. And so I'm excited about getting back to the regular episodes of covering disappearances. And I know Emily has been talking to a lot of people recently, my assistant, and then I've been talking to them myself, going very smoothly. And it's great to talk to these people for the first time and try to help them as much as we can. And I also need to give a shout out to Marky Davis, who has been helping myself and Emily find new guests for the program. I cannot thank Marky enough. If you don't know who Marky is, or maybe you're like, well, name sounds familiar. She was the guest for the Jeremy Burt episode going way back to the beginning of 2018. So if you'd like to hear what she sounds like and get an idea of her personality, you can go back and listen to that interview I did with her. She's not related to Jeremy in any way, but the family approved her doing the interview back then. That was back-to-back. Aaron Barnard one week, Jeremy Burt the next week. They both disappeared in Boise, Idaho, and their disappearances could be connected. And Marky was the guest for Jeremy Burt. Aaron Barnard's mother was the guest for Aaron's disappearance. Linda says, I think women tend to put themselves in more situations where they can go missing, such as prostitution, shopping alone, walking alone. Those certainly are situations, Linda. And I think we do know that relationships are the number one cause of disappearances. But like I said, I think I did that at one time, trying to figure out were there more women or men on NamUs, and I could have sworn there were more men listed on there. Linda, because women have lots of love in their hearts and they don't want to see others hurting. We want happy families. We do. That's true. My mother was like that. She wanted harmony. She wanted everybody getting along, and she was willing to endure some, underhanded things done by other family members to keep it all together. Certainly true. That's the way my mother was. Certainly. So yes, I've been talking to a lot of people. Did the interview. When was it? Yesterday. I did the interview for next Friday. Going to be doing the interview for the week after that, this coming Sunday. I've got some phone calls to listen to that I haven't listened to yet to take notes on. So lots of stuff to do. Lots of stuff. Moving on. I just found out about this today, and I appreciate him telling me. I think I'm one of the first people that he told, but all of you know Anthony from crimeblogger1983.blogspot.com. He's been on the program 3 times for, let me see if I can, Tammy Leppert, Lucera Sarabia, and maybe it's 4 times. Lucera Sarabia, Tammy Leppert, Evelyn Hartley. Maybe he's been on 4 times then. 4 times. Wow. He has set the record. And then more recently, Gayla Shaper. He's been on the program 4 times. And I kind of forgot about that. Yeah. Let me go through those again. Tammy Leppert, Evelyn Hartley, Lucera Sarabia, Gayla Shaper. 4 times. Well, he's going to be on Paula Zahn's show. He messaged me earlier today, maybe 5 hours ago, and told me I think I can read this word for word. He says, "You'll be seeing my ugly mug on Paula Zahn's show sometime in May regarding Dorothy Jane Scott's murder." I have to admit, off the top of my head, I don't know a thing about Dorothy Jane Scott's murder. Maybe some of you do. I would not be surprised. But I'm so happy that he is getting some attention. In a follow-up message, he says they're going, and I'm not going to say where Anthony lives, but they're going to fly him out. I'm taking for granted to California to do this interview. So they're going to fly him to California to do this interview and everything. Could not be happier for him. Could not be happier. Very, very excited for him. And I appreciate him telling me. Like I said, I think I'm one of the first people he told, and I haven't talked to him for a while. I was, I've been wondering, where is Anthony? Where is Anthony? And all of a sudden he sends me this message today. So it's great to hear from him and very excited. I'm guessing, knowing him, I'm guessing he's probably going to be a little nervous. He'll be fine. As you know, he's been on Unfound 4 times and does great interviews. Very thorough, very thoughtful, very precise. And so he's going to be on with Paula Zahn. That does not stink. That is very nice. So I'm guessing it'll be a situation where they'll interview him for 2 hours and only use like 10 minutes or something. And that's the way these things go. You just have to know that going in. But just to be on there, of course, he'll get publicity for it. I think he is doing some sort of podcast or live show or something with somebody else, although I've not listened to it. But certainly his site, crimeblogger1983.blogspot.com, that's going to be fantastic for that, for his, for the attention, everything that he's been doing there. So there you go. I call him a friend of the program, Anthony. And he hasn't told me, how they contacted him, or did he reach out to them? Were they wanting to cover Dorothy Jane Scott's murder and came across his blog? He's not told me those things. Either way, it's great. And here's what I know. It's certainly better than 48 hours ripping Unfound off. That's what I know for sure. To bring that up one more time. The way they're going about it with Paula Zahn, I'm glad that she is doing the classy thing and contacting him, flying him out, and getting him on, giving him some screen time. That's the way it's supposed to be done. Okay, that is the way it is supposed to be done. Good for them. Good for Paula Zahn. Charlotte says, I love Paula Zahn's show. Kathy says, Louise, my mom's mom watched Perry Mason, but no one else in my family is interested in true crime. You're the only one, huh, Kathy? Okay. So that's news. Once again, he says sometime in May, Dorothy Jane Scott's murder. If any of you know what that murder is, don't be afraid to write a little bit about it in the chat so the rest of us can know exactly what that is. I will admit that I don't. It might be up on his blog site. I've not been there recently. And as you know, I just pay attention to missing persons cases anyway. Let's, let me answer this question because I know she is in here, because I know Charlotte asked me this question. She sent me this question. And Charlotte, I'm going to answer it right now. I have a question for Wednesday night, and now it's Wednesday night. Do you know if the police investigate for similar cases in the area when a person goes missing? I've been wondering about this for a while. It seems like it would be a very good idea for them to do. I agree with you, Charlotte. It would be. They probably don't, though. To give you a perfect example, even from hello, Jill. Thank you for finding the new link tonight. Charlotte, you even have to take a look at the disappearances of these five young men in San Francisco. Of course, Jackson Miller, Cameron Remmer, Sean Seedy, and unfortunately, I cannot think of the other two right off the top of my head. But Christian Hughes, there's one, and Sean Dickerson. Man, I got all five off the top of my head. That's spectacular. Okay, I'm not totally losing my mind yet. But those are the five. And to my knowledge, the San Francisco police, even though they were all in the general same age range, certainly in the same part of town, I don't think the police department ever tried to connect all those five at all. Now, I can tell you, having looked into at least two of them and interviewing, covering those two disappearances, and I have talked to Christian Hughes' mother, and I have talked to Sean Dickerson's mother. I can tell you none of these five, I think, are related at all. It's just, it's just some weird statistical anomaly. But do I think the San Francisco Police Department tried to connect these and look into them or anything? No. The other thing I would say, Charlotte, regarding that is that in most cases, most situations, if the police run into a disappearance that runs more than a few days, that's probably the first one they've ever encountered. So it's hard to connect it to other missing persons cases if there aren't any other missing persons cases. You can pick any particular, let's just take Jody Husentrut, Mason City, Iowa. There's no other people missing from Mason City who have been missing for 26 years. So it's hard, once again, if there's nothing to compare it to, it's a little difficult. Now, when you get into cities, certainly it's more likely that there are going to be disappearances that last more than a few days. But I don't get that idea at all. I think there are too many other things going on. I think that we know that at this point, 4.5 years into the program, that police just don't look into this stuff very, they'll do what they can, I guess. But after a while, they just throw their hands up in the air and say, okay, well, we've done all we can. So once again, do you know if police investigate for similar cases in the area when a person goes missing? I know I do. When we cover certain disappearances, I will go on NamUs, for example, and see if there are any disappearances a few years before or a few years after that are similar. I've done that. You usually don't find anything except for like the San Francisco 5. So I do, but I don't think police do that. I don't think so. To answer it simply, no, I don't think they do. They probably should, but in most police departments in the United States, if they come up missing persons case that lasts more than a few days, there probably are no others like it. Charlotte, again, you're saying that the murder of Dorothy Scott happened in Anaheim in 1980. Okay, Charlotte. Does not ring a bell. Okay. Thank you for looking that up, Charlotte. I appreciate it. Coffee says Jamie Kloss is not missing anymore. What do you think of her case? That's the one where the kid went over and shot her parents and kidnapped her, right? Obsession. Totally an obsession, Coffee. And it happens. I don't know why that kid picked that day. What was it about Jamie compared to any other girl? I have no idea, and I'm certainly not an expert on it. Certainly not. But this just goes to show you how crazies are out there. It's no different than Jessica Haringa's disappearance. Her remains have still not been found. The guy that went and just dragged her right out of that convenience store in Michigan just decided that's what he wanted to do, and he did it. Now, however, he had killed before, which makes it more likely that he was going to kill again. But I don't know, Coffee. I really don't know if we'll ever understand what's going on in some of these, people's heads. I don't know. I'm just glad that Jamie ended up being alive. I'm happy that they were able to, figure this whole thing out. But this is it sounds like some sort of obsession. To me, who knows what goes going through that guy's head. He might have been convinced that her parents were aliens from another planet. I don't know. Eileen says, do you think that there are many missing people that aren't on? Oh, yeah. On NamUs? Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you do, Eileen, there are only 23,000 people on NamUs. That's it. That's it. Now, I will say maybe recently we haven't come across quite a few who aren't on NamUs, but I know that, for example, Dow Phillips, when we covered his disappearance, he wasn't on NamUs. Patrick Reed, disappearance we covered last year, he was never on NamUs. And there's been at least a couple others that we've covered on Unfound that were not on NamUs. So absolutely. NamUs is not even close. I doubt it's even 1/4. If you can believe it. I doubt it's even 1/4. Coffee says crazy is right. Yeah, crazy for sure. So that's my answer to the question, Charlotte. Let's move on to this. Laura Bible and Ashley Freeman. I'm going to be talking about this in the update episode on Friday, as you would suspect. But I'll talk about it right here. I'm going to read an article to you. There is an update on their case, and I'm just going to read the whole article to you. I think this came out yesterday or the day before. A fresh search for the remains of Ashley Freeman and Laura Bible got underway at around 9 a.m. today in Pitcher, Oklahoma. Investigators have been digging at several spots on vacant lots at 629 and 627 South Ottawa Street in Pitcher, Oklahoma. Gary Standstill, an investigator for the Craig County District Attorney's Office, said crews will continue digging until they exhaust all possible locations or until expected rain moves in. David Pennington, one of the three men believed to have been involved in the December 30th, 1999 slayings of Ashley Freeman's parents, Danny and Kathy Freeman of Welch, Oklahoma, and the abduction of their daughter and the Bible girl, both 16. Pennington moved to 629 South Ottawa Street in January 2000, so just maybe days or weeks after the slayings and these disappearances happened. Oh, my. Investigators believe the girls were held and sexually abused at suspect Phil Welch's home on College Street in Pitcher for a couple of weeks before being killed and their bodies disposed of in some manner. Ronald Dean Busick, 69 years old, the lone suspect to be charged and convicted of involvement in the case, was sentenced last year to 10 years in prison after pleading guilty to being an accessory to first-degree murder in the case. Both Welch and Pennington died years ago without ever being charged with involvement in the crime. So I'm going to read that article again on Friday, so you'll hear it again. I've already recorded that part of the episode. So there's digging going on at this location where David Pennington moved to in January 2000. I have to tell you, this sounds like much more constructive use of their time, investigators' time, than going to all those wells like they were doing last year. And I think that's been done a couple times. Because going to wells or holes in the ground, hoping to get lucky. Now the question is, it's been 22 years since this all happened. Why are they just digging in these spots now? I don't have an answer to that. I don't. There may be an answer out there, but I don't know what that answer is. It would seem to me that once they found out about all of this, shouldn't this been done right away? Why it's been out there for a couple years now about the Pennington, and what's the other guys' names? David Pennington, Phil Welch, and Ronnie Busick. It's been for a couple years. Why are they just doing it now? The more and more you find out about these murders, the disappearance, you realize that the police in that area just totally dropped the ball at the time. And if you remember, what all got this all started again was that there was some box somewhere, and they were going through it, and they found this insurance card or a ownership card or something to a car, and this ID, this piece of paper, was found in the Freeman driveway or right along the road there the night after this all happened. And it turned out the information was from one of these guys' girlfriend's car. It somehow fell out. And that piece of evidence should have led them to her. Hey, how did your ID this? How did it end up here? And she might have said, well, my boyfriend David Pennington was driving the car, and that would lead them to them. And they might have been able to make this connection between Pennington, Welch, Busick, and the Freemans. They could have done this back in 2000. Unfortunately, it didn't get done until 2018. And yeah, it was insurance card. Thank you, Kathy. Being that it happened in this particular case, I got to tell you, I am for sure that this situation is going on in many of the unfound disappearances that we've covered. That a piece of evidence that could really put investigators on the proper track exists somewhere in some police file somewhere, and somebody hasn't seen it for years. I am sure of it. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm not getting into if this is some conspiracy. I don't believe any of that. I'm not going to go that direction. But people make mistakes, but this seems to be a particularly egregious one. So who knows if Laura and Ashley would have been found back then. But certainly these three men could have been attached to the murders. And of course, Pennington and Welch would still be alive. And that would maybe make it more likely that one of them would still spill the beans as to what they did with Laura and Ashley. Now, the other part of the course of this is that these girls were held and sexually abused for weeks. Why do they know that? How do they know that? Why do they suspect that? I don't know. Is this something that Ronnie Busick told them? We have to remember it. I think we now know that there were people who knew what happened, and they were mainly these women who were around these guys at the time. Is that what these women said, or have these women kept it, their lips shut, mouth shut all this time? I guess. I don't know. And maybe that's where all of this information, some of these things are coming from. I don't know. How, I don't, without finding the girls and talking to these guys, and I'm guessing that Ronnie Busick, being that he pled not guilty and went to trial, he surely did not admit to, abusing these girls for weeks or whatever. So I don't know how they would know that. So it must have been somebody who was around these guys, finally spilled the beans. Now, why didn't this person or people do this years ago? I don't know. It's all horrible. It's all horrible. Eileen says, yikes, just 1/4. Yes, on NamUs, I'm pretty sure, Eileen, it's just about 1/4. Pretty sure. Linda says, looking at how many Jane Does and John Does there are, so many people are not even reported missing. That's true. Coffee says this was on Unsolved Mysteries back in the day. I think it was. Charlotte says, did they ever find April Beth Pitzer? Nope. If they had, I would surely done an update on it, Charlotte. I surely would have made sure everybody knew. No, Yes, insurance cards. Coffee says detectives are overworked, in my opinion. Well, they are, but I don't think that's what's going on. I don't think that was what was happening in this particular case with Ashley Freeman and Laura Bible. It doesn't sound to me like that it was an overworked situation. Charlotte says that was a terribly sad case. It certainly was. So that's an update. I'll be going through that again on Friday. On a lighter note, this news is not new. This is actually from 2012, but my friend April Abear, who interviewed me on her podcast a couple weeks ago, sent me this. So I wanted to read it all of you. Maybe some of you have seen this, but I'm going to guess many of you have not. This is a news article from, I think, like I said, 2012. It's a missing persons story. Just read it. This comes from Reykjavik, Iceland. A woman who went missing in Iceland over the weekend was reportedly found safe and sound by herself. According to the Reykjavik Grapevine, the not-so-missing woman, a tourist, even participated in the intense police search over the weekend near Elja Canyon in the country's southern volcanic region. The mix-up apparently occurred when, during a sightseeing trip Saturday, the woman broke off from her tourist group and changed clothes, the Reykjavik Grapevine reports, citing Icelandic news website mbl.is. When she returned to the bus in a different outfit, the rest of her tour group did not recognize her. Then, when a description of the missing person was offered, Asian in dark clothing and speaks English well, the woman seemingly also did not recognize the description of herself. So she began to assist the others in searching. The Coast Guard had been preparing a helicopter to help in the search, the Iceland Review reports. Hours later, around 3 a.m. Sunday, the search party finally realized that, alas, the woman they were looking for was with them all along, and the search was called off. It's not right. Kathy is telling me how to pronounce Reykjavik. Okay, Kathy. Reykjavik. Okay, Kathy. Eileen, she was searching for herself. And this just shows you, you just never know what you're going to run into. Luckily this had a happy ending, but it's just, how do these things happen? I guess the name was never mentioned, her name or something. Coffee's there. I don't know. It's a stumper, but I'd never heard of this before, but my friend April sent it to me. So, she sent it to me last week. I think I was going to include it in last week's show, but I forgot. So it's nice once in a while to have a funny missing person story with a happy ending. So that takes us to, isn't that some kind of song? What do you mean, Linda? What kind of song? I am a little, I didn't know that I was lost. I know that song. I must have got lost. I must have got lost. I must have got lost somewhere down the line. I don't know who sings that song. It's kind of a little bit of a rock song, a little more folk rock type of thing. I must have got lost. I must have got lost. I must have got lost somewhere down the line. Something like that. So somebody's going to look that up, I'm sure. Linda says, so wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. I don't know what that is. I thought you were going to go all wake me up before you go. Wham. I thought you were going to go wham on us, Linda. Wake me up before you go. So I don't feel like going solo. Wake me up before you go. That song from like 1983. That's the song's lyrics. I don't know that song list, Linda, off the top of my head. All right, let's go to this Friday. We got the update episode. And it's episode number 8, The first one came out in the summer of 2018. I think the second one, I think in April of 2019 is when we started this now cycle that we're on of April, August, December, April, August, December. So it was like July or June of 2018. And then we went the whole way around to April of 2019. Then August 2019, December 2019, April 2020, August 2020, December 2020. And now we're here to number 8, April of 2020. And I have to tell you, I think I've been lying to you for the last few weeks. So when I've been talking about this episode, I thought that there weren't going to be many updates. I lied. It's pretty long. I've not totally recorded the whole thing yet, but it's going to be about 3 hours. Got a lot of updates, and I'm going to be talking. One of the reasons that's longer than I anticipated is because I am including any trials that could be happening the rest of this year. I think I did that in the last one in December, but I decided to do that again. That may be one of the reasons. So I'm talking about quite a few of disappearances. And in addition, suggestion from my assistant, Cherie, she thought it might be good if I included the disappearances that I've covered on Unfound now as well. So I'm going to go through all of the regular episode updates, and then when I'm done with those, I will go through every single one of the Unfound Nows that I've done going back to last summer with Linda Stoltfus. So that will be something new for this update episode as well. Another new thing is that this was a request that I got from a listener. Given that we are over 200 disappearances now, she requested that to give a little synopsis of that disappearance to make sure that people understand what the facts are of that disappearance. I think in past, I've just been talking about updates, and I think she said, well, I can't remember some of these names and the circumstances. Can you do a little bit of that for these? And so what I'm doing is I'm reading the intro for each. So, for example, Tom Brown, which is going to be included. Here's into the update for Tom Brown, and then I read the intro. You know, that little piece that I read before the music starts for every episode, I will read that. Hopefully that will jog everybody's memory as to at least the general ideas. At least it gives the date and the year and a little bit about the person and the general circumstances. So that's what something also that is new for this episode, including Unfound now, missing people as well, and giving you a little more idea of what the actual disappearance was. And it probably was not as big a deal when I started doing the episodes back in the summer of 2018, when probably there weren't even 100 disappearances that we had even covered yet. But now we're over 200, and I can understand after a while it's hard to remember the names and put it with the locations and dates and things. So hopefully that will help remind you of what the situation was. If it's not enough, then you're just going to have to go back and listen to the episode. Linda says the song is called Wake Me Up by Avicii. I have no idea who that is. His chorus is, so wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All the time I was finding myself and I didn't know I was lost. Wow, that's deep. I can't say I've ever heard that song before, and I don't know who that musician is. Paula, I think Kathy is the only one who can remember all the cases besides Ed. Kathy is good at that. That's very observant, Paula. I agree. Well, that is about it. We got started a little late, and I felt like I needed to get through some of these things maybe a little quicker than I really need, usually do. I like to be done by 11. Here we are, almost 10 minutes to 11. But so I think that is, Marlene says, any new updates on some of the disappearances you did last year besides? You mean for Unfound Now, Marlene? Actually, yes. Of course, the first one I did was Linda Stoltfus. Her remains were just found recently. We know that Justo Smoker is in custody for the murder of her, but her remains were just found recently. The next month was Erica Lloyd. Her remains were just found like earlier this year, down in the Joshua National Tree, Joshua Tree National Park area. After that, there was Corey Moore. Let me look that up. I have it right here. There was, after that, let me see what the order they went in. It was Linda Stoltfus, then Erica Lloyd, then you remember we did an Unfound Now on Mary Lane Carter. This is the woman who was driving from Kansas to Alabama, and she never made it there. She was eventually found in her car in a container. Remember that? I think that was August 2nd, 2020. I did an Unfound Now for her as well. So she was found. Stephanie Hollingsworth from over in Orlando, I did an Unfound Now for her in September. She was eventually found in a pond next to a roadway over there. I'm thinking she was drinking and driving and went off the road and drowned in her car, like Esther Westenbarger. And then the one for October was Corey Dale Moore from Sanford, North Carolina. I didn't realize this until I started looking into it. His remains were found in February. He had walked away from his house barefoot. Maybe you remember that from that Unfound Now. He was found, his remains were found about only a half mile away from his grandmother's house. And the way he was found was that there's people looking to buy that piece of property coincidentally, and they're walking around the property. They find his remains. So at least those first 5 Unfound Nows that I did, those have been solved. Now, when we start getting into Alan White from December, Jason Landry in January, Elias Scheibel in February, Kirsten Brueggemann in March, all still unsolved. But those first 5 that I covered are all solved one way or the other, whether it was a murder or an accident or something. So there you go, Marlene. Just one question: when is the next Unfound book coming out? I wish I could tell you, Linda. I have the best of intentions of getting it done, but there's just so much to do. When I started doing those books, I wasn't doing as much as I am now. There was no live show, there was no think tank, and we just covered disappearances a little bit differently than I did back then. There's a lot more work that goes behind the scenes, looking more into the disappearance for that week than used to happen. But I've not forgotten about them, and it very well may be, Linda, that I may have to farm that work out to somebody. It's going to cost. It's going to be some bucks, but there are places that can do it. I just don't have the time to do it well, and like I said, there's just so much more going on with Unfound Now than when those books got started. But I have not forgotten about them. I fully intend to have books out on all of these disappearances, even though we only have books for like the first year. So Beeple says, I don't mind transcribing for you again. Beeples, I appreciate that. But I think that if it's going to get done, it's probably going to get done by me just paying somebody to do it all, some professional or something. I just don't have the time. If I wanted to stop doing the live show and the think tank and all these other things, I think I could get it done, but I don't want to do that. So, that's just the way it goes. Just, you just have to make choices. All right. I'm getting out of here. What did I do tonight? Besides having a problem getting the live show started, which is something I'm going to have to look into. Did not play disc golf very well this past weekend. Still shopping for a car, but I'm going to admit I may just be keeping my car. I really didn't have time to get into that tonight. Down to 182 pounds. So that's going well. 2 years at this place on May 1st. No poll this week, no blog this week. Dr. Telesco, Unfound Now. Sponsorship of tournament. Over 200 disappearances covered now. Talking to a lot of people recently. Anthony's going to be on Paula Zahn's show, the Lauria Bible and Ashley Freeman update. Took a question from Charlotte, the woman who was searching for herself from Ikovic. And then finally, the update episode for this Friday, the 8th one. And it's going to be long, so get prepared. That's all I got. And Cherie, I don't know where she was tonight. I know she was in the other link, but no moderation, I guess, was needed tonight. And that's maybe a good thing. All right, everybody, good night. Thank you for coming over to this new link. I apologize. I hope to have it figured out by next week. Good night.